So are you one of those golfers who, particularly with irons, hits lots of thin and topped shots, and you understand that you're not hitting the ground? So you try really hard on that next one to make sure you hit the ground, and you hit 3-4 inches behind. When you're on a mat, you kind of get away with it a little bit, but when you're on the turf, the club just digs in, buries, and the ball goes nowhere. Now, I'm going to show you in today's video how you're going to hit the ball first and then the turf every single time. So I think the first thing to understand is why do most golfers not manage to make contact with the ball first? Because I'm pretty sure, not every golfer, but most golfers understand that they should make contact with the ball before they make contact with the ground. So they should get the lowest point of their golf swing after the golf ball. So when you look face on, the club basically moves in an arc around your body. So on the backswing, it moves up, the downswing, it moves down, then it finds its lowest point and then travels back up. So as long as your low point is ahead of the golf ball, in the ground, and the swing's not too low so that you actually make contact with the ground first, you are going to hit ball and then turf every single time. Now, the first problem I see for most golfers is their thought is that they need to lift the golf ball in the air. Now, obviously when you look at golf clubs, there is loft. And there's a bonus to that because that is supposed to do the job for you. But a lot of golfers are trying to lift the golf ball. They understand that they're trying to transfer their weight on their backswing, so they let that weight move onto the right foot. And then to get under the golf ball, they sit on that back foot. And the theory being, yeah, I can see there, that's going to have lots of loft and I can get under the ball. But you can already see, face on there, the problem. I'm going to bottom out early, and if we do that, even if we manage to get a reasonable strike on it, I've managed somehow to get my low point just slightly ahead of the golf ball, but the ball's launched at nearly 24 degrees. And even though it's carried 147 yards, I just don't think I could do that with any amount of consistency. So the first thing I want you to appreciate is the golf swing itself takes a very short space of time. Kind of under a second or around a second for the golf swing. But obviously the backswing is the majority of that because it's slower, and the downswing is a very small element. So if you think, if you're going to be somebody who works on moving their weight back, and you move all the way back, and that weight's on the outside of that right foot, you've got a very, very short space of time to be able to get everything back so that your weight's on your lead leg and that low point's ahead. And I think for a lot of golfers, even when you're watching this, I mean, comment below whether you agree or disagree with this. They'll say, yep, I understand that, and that's definitely kind of what I feel in my swing. So I want to show you a little example of something where you already do this movement fantastically well. And I want you to take a ball in your hand. Now, obviously I'm right-handed and I play golf right-handed, but if you're left-handed, it's the same principle. So if you were going to throw a ball, well or badly, what you would see is as your arm moves back, you're already starting to move your pressure and your weight towards your front leg. And that's how you generate that speed. So that's more of what we want to feel in our golf swing. So for a lot of you, you might say, oh, so I'm not moving my weight. You're going to move the pressure in the ground. We're just not looking for such an excessive movement side to side. So we're going to start feeling that as we swing back, as the hands start to get past waist height, you're already going to feel that you're pushing into your lead foot. Okay? Now, straight away, we're going to see a very different movement with the body. We're going to see that the body starts to move slightly towards the target. You might be slightly shorter on your backswing, but then as you swing down, we're definitely going to start making contact with the ground. Now, at the moment, I'm only giving you part of what I need you to do, but I want you to just hit some shots. Feel that. If the contact with the ground feels quite hard, For now, that's okay. And if you're on grass, if the divots are a little bit on the deep side, I don't mind as long as we're making contact with the ball first. So we're going to get there. As the hands feel to get past waist height, we're going to feel that we're already pushing into that lead foot. And that straight away is a very different feel. We can see on TrackMan there, my low point 4.2 inches ahead. The club's moved down 5 degrees, and the ball has now launched at 12.7 degrees. Now, yes, I appreciate that is very, very low. It's a slightly stronger lofted 7-iron that I'm using. But I want you to do a couple of those and get a feel, even if it feels a little bit too short a swing. To see there, very different again, low point 4 inches ahead, 13-degree launch angle, club moving down 4.8 degrees, and already the ball's starting to go much, much further. Now, obviously I'm not going to hit 10, 15 shots, but I would probably hit a good at least 10 shots with that feeling, getting that feel of striking the ball. But like I said, you might just feel there's a lot more interaction with the club and the ground. And that's simply because as you're on that lead foot and we've got more of this angle into impact, we can see the low point is going to be much further ahead and going to get deeper into the ground. So the other little feel, and you might already be doing this, if you're not, this is the next part. You want to feel that as you're getting that weight moving into that left side, you've now got to create some room on the way through by turning the hip out of the way and letting that lead leg just straighten a little bit more. It's just going to shallow the swing out a little bit, still keep that low point ahead, but it's going to improve that strike even more. So we're going to try that now. Weight forward, straighten that lead leg a little earlier. So not absolutely perfect, but a good strike. Low point 5.3 inches ahead, launching at 12 degrees, carry at 161. Now, definitely with my golf swing, this is something I probably don't do well enough. As a general rule, I don't get my low point that far forward and I don't launch it that low. Maybe don't want to be quite that low, but we want to feel that we're feeling more centered on the way back so that as that weight starts to move, it hasn't got as far to shift in that short space of time. That means we're going to get that low point ahead. As the body's then clearing out the way, see how much easier it is for the club to be here. Whereas if you're behind the golf ball and you do that, we're going to hit way behind the golf ball. And you won't do that. Never see golfers hitting 2 foot behind the golf ball. What they'll do is whatever they need to try and get some impact on the golf ball. And yes, I made contact with it, but it wasn't good direction, it went nowhere. So if we can feel that we stay more centered, get that weight moving into that lead foot earlier, and then to clear that hip, we're going to let that lead leg straighten. So even though I've turned that over a bit more than I would like to see, still that low point way ahead of the golf ball, the club traveling down 6 degrees, launching at 12, and for me, that feels probably a bit too exaggerated at the moment, but for a lot of you watching, you need to feel that exaggerated. Even if the shape of shot isn't perfect to begin with, as soon as you're making contact with the ball and then the ground, in that order, every time, it becomes easier to dial the feeling back a little bit. So now I'm going to try and exaggerate it, not quite as much. That would feel more like I want. So 3.7 inches ahead, club's moved down 4 degrees, launching at just under 16 degrees, some really good ball speed from a club speed, and a carry at just under 170 yards. So if you are somebody who really struggles making contact with the ball first and then the turf, work through this video. Don't be afraid to kind of rewind a bit, rewatch something if you've not been quite clear, but make sure you can feel more centered on the way back, shift that weight earlier to the lead foot, and then straighten that lead leg to get the hip turning out the way. And if you can get that movement more easy to work on without having to think so much, it really is going to take your ball striking to the next level. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. There's another video just there that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.